So, hello and welcome to the brand new podcast series, Wealth and Women. So in today's episode, we're going to give you a real life insight into what it's like to get into the finance industry and become either a financial planning coach or a financial planner. We're going to talk you through the qualifications that we've been through, how we initially got into the industry, and the sorts of benefits and experiences that we get from working in this fantastic role. I'm Emma Hall, Chartered Financial Planner, Fellow of the Personal Finance Society, and recent winner of the Personal Finance Society Chartered Financial Planner of the Year. Joining me at the table today, we have a fantastic group of award-winning high flyers in the finance industry. We have Hazel Bowen and Tracy Brooks, who are both Chartered Financial Planners and Fellows of the Personal Finance Society. Hazel is also a previous winner of the Chartered Financial Planner of the Year. And we have Tracy, who is an award winner and one of the most highly qualified financial advisors in the UK today. We also have Alina, who is a top financial coach and mentor, and she is the PFS winner of the Education Champion of the Year. So Hazel, should we start with you?
Okay.
What's your story? How did you get into the industry?
I started my journey into financial services when I left school after my GCSEs. I got a job at a bank working in the lowest sort of role you can get in mortgage processing, and then progressed through the ranks and moved across to mortgage marketing, eventually did mortgage research. So you can probably guess from all the mortgages that I've just said, I went into mortgage advice. I didn't originally think I wanted to go into financial planning or advice because I was quite shy and didn't want to work with people. I get quite a lot of performance anxiety. But I sat there and thought to myself, while I was a mortgage researcher, I have so much knowledge about mortgages and so many people need this. So I wanted to share it with people. From there, I became a financial planner when I was exposed to the wider world of what financial planners do and how they can have an impact on the whole aspect of everyone's lives. What's quite unique about that is many people go from being a financial planning administrator into technical financial planning and then a financial planner client facing, which I didn't do. And I think that's just an important thing to share because it's just to say there's so many different routes to get into the profession.
Right, okay. And Tracy, was that the same for you? Did you start off in banking?
No, mine was. I think my route is a bit more more stereotypical more than anything. You know, I started off, finished university. I got an accounting and finance degree, and I knew that I wanted a job that involved a graduate scheme, just because I thought, they give you direction. You know where, they give you good foundations into whichever job you choose. And I actually found a graduate scheme by chance. I saw it in a local newspaper, graduate finance scheme, I think it said. And I didn't actually realise this was actually a financial planning job until about 3 weeks into the job. I realised, I'm training to be a financial planner. And it was a journey that took about 10 months, whereby I had to sit exams, standard exams I had to sit. And then I was working alongside other financial advisors, more experienced advisors, doing all their reports, making the appointments, attending joint calls with them, writing doing all the application forms, etc. So I was literally doing everything except financial advising. And then, once I passed exams and once the company found that I was competent, I then became a financial advisor. So it was a 10-month journey.
Quite a quick turnaround.
It is quite a quick turnaround. And I was only 22 when I became a signed off financial advisor, which is young.
Wow.
It really was young, and bearing in mind, I didn't even know what an ISA was 10 months before that, just simple things. But so in theory, I feel I was kind of thrown in the deep end, it was like, right then, 10 months, you're a financial advisor. But I was ignorant. It was kind of, a good thing, really. And you're thrown in the deep end and you go on these meetings not knowing much, sitting in front of people that are double your age, telling them about, right, then this is what you should be doing. And you learn a lot. You put out your comfort zone, and it's kind of like sink or swim, so to speak. It is very much sink or swim in the early years, but I think that's in any job though, isn't it? It's not just in financial planning. I think it's in any job.
Yeah. And who were you both learning from at that time?
Oh, well, I was kind of learning off my peers. You know, Emma, you're one of my peers. You know, we started on the journey together, didn't we?
We did.
So learning off each other, kind of, you know, you had good days, bad days, kind of, you know, you're picking yourself up, you know, but you're kind of looking up to the more experienced advisors. You're looking at, well, how did they get to where they are? You know, I want to be like that person. And they were kind of like who I looked for. They were who I was inspired to. And I was like, well, what qualifications have you got? You know, are you chartered? Yes. Well, how did you do that? You know, what's the benefit of being chartered? And just kind of be inspired by other people that I work with, the peers. But yeah. But one thing though, there wasn't any, you know, it was a large firm I was working for, maybe 40, 50 advisors, but there wasn't any senior female advisors. That was the only downside of it all. I never thought much of it. I just accepted it. Oh well, you know, it's very male dominated, but I never had that woman there for me. They were my friends, who I had.
Yeah, they were good actually in that company when, you know, they were hiring men and women, or actually young women and young men.
Yeah.
I felt like they were hiring based on who they thought was best at the time, which I think was really good when we think that was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a lot of women and men, weren't there, coming through in our graduate scheme.
Yeah, and you know, it wasn't like I never realized it was such a male dominated industry, to be honest with you, because the company we worked for, it was quite equal, as in the younger generation, but the older generation, you could see it wasn't. You know, you could see it very male dominated at that point. You know, the top level, it was very male dominated. Yeah.
And Alina, you've chosen to go down the coaching route, a mentoring route, as opposed to becoming a financial planner. So what was your journey like, and why did you choose to go down that route?
Well, again, probably a very unconventional route to this. I grew up in Romania. I went to uni eventually to study economics and regional development, and myself and so when I was in university, I think my first job in financial services was purely to get work experience. And that was it. It was someone I knew called me and said, hey, how about this? I know you want to gain some work experience. Well, how about try this? And at that time, Aviva, or the old Norwich Union, the old company, came to Romania trying to set up the shop. And that was after years of people losing money to Ponzi schemes and so on. So it was a hard job to sell life insurance unit-linked products to people. And I didn't really think I was going to last because it was sales. And I thought, what a 20 years old student knows about this. But I really loved being part of that educational. Firstly, I was educating people to trust again financial services and so on. Fast forward, I was doing my master's degree, and then I got selected a part of a 6 students group to come to the UK as a part of to work in financial services for a while because of my experience in Romania. So I came over and they said, look, come back, go finish your master's and so on. I wasn't even intending to be here. And they said, look, go back, finish your studies, come back and work for us. So I worked like a shareholding analysis little company. And then again, fast forward a few years, I'm working with this asset management firm. And they launch post-RDR this wonderful coaching program for financial advisors, helping them to transition from fees to goals-based propositions where they put the client at the center of what they do. And I was so lucky to work with a team who really believe that this can really transform the face of the industry and something exciting. So I was right in the middle of it, working with an amazing coach from the States who did the same thing over in the States. And I was right in the middle of it, but nothing really kind of clicked for me. I was doing business coaching, helping financial advice firms put all these, transform the way they did business with the client in mind. And then all of a sudden, I get all these financial advisors nudging me, come on, join us. You could be good at this. Up to that point, I can only say that there were 2 women in the whole, we were like running these workshops around the country, and there were only 2 women based in the South that I knew that were doing this, right? So you nudging me as a financial advisor, come and join us. There are so many women who would need this. I was thinking, where exactly would I be able to fit? But I think the tipping point was at the school gates, talking to people. As soon as I had my own children, all of a sudden, it was a real eye opener, because I was very, all of the expenses seemed magnified. The future seemed very uncertain. And sitting by the school gate, talking to people like myself, because up to that point, I was in this bubble. I was going to work. I was, doing the hustle basically on a day-to-day. I had my blinkers on, and all of a sudden I have these conversations, and I've discovered so many amazing professionals, mums mostly, who were so confused. We would be talking about all sorts, but then money would come up. You talk about holidays and then money come up. You talk about career breaks and money come up. And a lot of them were absolutely confused. So I thought, right, well, I'm lucky enough to be in this environment where I talk to financial advisors. I learn firsthand the value of knowledge and guidance and all sorts. Yet there were so many people out there who didn't benefit from it because they weren't in that environment where they can talk to financial advisors. And so I worked with financial advice firms. I actually left my job and qualified in a record 8 months. So I'm a qualified financial planner. I worked with a couple of financial advice firms, and I found myself in this shoes I was wearing many, many years ago as a student, just leaning across the table from clients and having human conversations. And I drew my reward from helping them unpack what was blocking them. I remember sieving through like three years worth of meeting notes and going, why are we still talking about putting a will in place? Why are we talking about protection still 3 years down the line? And I figured that there was something more than the practical, the technical. It was more about the psychology, the behavior, the unlocking. And then I talked to their kids who were lucky to be in front of a financial advisor because of their parents. And all of a sudden I thought, you know what, if anything, I found my joy in coaching people. I want to talk to people who can't really afford this. I want to talk to people of the age I was at the time that needed the heavy lifting, to access their best ideas, to really have an opportunity-focused approach rather than fear-based planning, like everyone. Yeah. And then I came across Simone Nessen. She talked at the Human Under Management conference, and all of a sudden the light bulb moment came up. I was thinking, wow. I can use financial knowledge and I can use my coaching skills to actually create something amazing. So that's how I ended up being a coach and a mentor.
So do you think, was that led by the fact that, when we first started advising, there was still very much a sales feel for was that something that influenced you going more down the coaching route rather than into financial planning or financial advising at that point, or?
I thought, yes, it was an element of that, but also an element of, the crowd I was speaking to, the crowd that wouldn't have afforded financial advice, and the employees that I was talking to, the professionals that I was talking to, young professionals who would not afford financial advice. And I thought, okay, well, let's create something that is more affordable, is designed to serve the masses. It's got this education, coaching, mentoring streak. I can do a lot of heavy lifting and help them be in that advice-ready mindset to then go ask the meaningful questions. So they don't waste time and energy and money, and they're the perfect partner for a financial advisor to kind of go, when they can afford it, to go kind of go, okay, let's implement this. Let's go for this, Yeah.
I think that's something that's always bothered me, actually, when you do see clients, and I'm sure everyone here at the table have seen this, where there are clients that you genuinely want to help, but from a financial perspective, when you look at the fees that we have to charge to make it commercial, you feel like you either have to give them guidance. So to have a coach, like you say, is a perfect match actually, to make sure that the people out there can get the advice they need or the coaching, and then, like you say, prepare them for when maybe they need more in-depth advice where we have to be more heavily regulated.
Absolutely. And this is why I often collaborate with financial advisors who want me to do this bit where, it's more time effective, energy effective, and money efficient for a client to be doing this initial financial planning guidance bit, educational, and then when they're in front of a financial advisor, to ask those questions that any financial advisors would want their clients to do. So fact finding is no longer an issue. You don't spend all those hours, like it's like pulling teeth, asking those come on, meaningful questions. So someone like that is ready. And then obviously I work with employers who really want to empower their employees to access financial guidance and be more empowered, more and boost their financial well-being. And that's where I fit in, and that's my happy place.
Yeah, that's, I can tell you're very passionate about it. I can see it in your eyes. So in terms of my journey, as Tracy said, I was on the graduate scheme with Tracy. I think, how old was I then? 22?
Yeah.
I came in a month after you, didn't I? And we met in the office when you had a bit of an experience, didn't you? Do you mind me telling that story?
Yeah, fire away through,
So as Tracy was saying before, we were tasked with writing reports and things like that. And the head of compliance had come down with a report and put it on your desk, hadn't she? And had red pen all over it. And there was a misunderstanding, to be fair to you. You had reviewed it, but the compliance didn't think that you had.
The other day she made me cry.
Yeah, she burst into tears, and we'd only known each other a month. And I went over and I was like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" In the middle of this big open plan office, consoling you, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And we sort of just formed a friendship from then. And I always remember, we'd have training together, and you with an accountancy background, knowing your way around a calculator, and I'm sat there like, I have no idea what I'm doing with this calculator, and you'd be laughing at me like, I'm like, where have you come from? What's your background? That sort of thing. But I sort of fell into financial planning as well. It's not something that I considered doing. I went for the interview. It was somebody that I was with previously in a relationship. He thought about going into finance, and we went for the same job. And I got on the graduate scheme, and sort of progressed from there. It's a quick turnaround where we were on the graduate scheme, sort of a year of exams, the CFA exams they were back then, and then you were out on the road. We had some really good mentors. You're right in what you're saying. There were no female advisors or planners in that place we were working. No. But Trevor Owen Jones was somebody who I trained with. He had the patience of a saint, bless him. Because I wasn't the quickest one, was I, to pick up stuff, Trace? Not like you. Right. You were a bit quicker on certain things. No. And then that was it. We got given books of clients that the other advisors were no longer seeing, and we had to do what they called a power hour on a Thursday evening, where we had to phone clients and get appointments, and that was it. We were out on the road, weren't we?
We were put out of our comfort zone quite often.
Yeah.
And that was a good thing. In hindsight, it was a good thing. At the time, it was awful. You're sweating. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But that's when you grow, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's exactly where you grow, isn't it? That's when you learn more about yourself.
It is. We were presenting about inheritance tax, I think, about a month into our job. Yeah. We didn't even know what it was. Yeah. At the point, did we? Standing up in front of people at our training day.
So me and Emma have come from the graduate route, whereas Hazel, Alina, you've come down more the experience route. Do you think there's...
It's just a lot of pivoting for us.
Do you think there's pros and cons of either route, do you think?
I think it's what works for you. So for me, I just didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 16 and I'd done my GCSEs. Yeah. So A-levels weren't for me, and therefore university wasn't going to happen. So I just wanted to get in a job, earn some money. Yeah. I came from a humble background, and I went to a private school, so I'd been around lots of people with money and hadn't had any myself. So I was ready to go and earn and live the life that I wanted to live. So for me, it was the opportunity to experience the world of work. I always knew that I wanted to do a job where I could progress and constantly challenge myself. So banking and finance is so big. Yeah. It seemed a good place to start. But it was nice to be able to explore different things. So, exploring marketing, which was quite interesting, and research. I did a small stint in a sales role when I was at the research firm that the team then got disbanded. But it was nice to experience those things. I don't think I would have gone into a graduate scheme to do a role where I would have been client facing. I think actually getting a lot of knowledge up front and being a bit older allowed me to find out what I wanted to do and my values behind why I wanted to do it, which has led me throughout my career.
Yeah.
I agree. I so agree. It does give you that sense of, okay, where can I add value? And you get that power behind the purpose. And that was, for me, it was the theme of everything, like looking back at all the career choices, it was the theme of, I feel like I needed to help people make better decisions. I grew up with a dad who did semi-pro football for many years, and then he retired in the prime of his life with no plan B whatsoever. And I think that sparked my curiosity, because I've seen him crumble and I've seen him just fall apart mentally, physically after his career, going from being known by anyone and being like growing up around a celebrity dad to a person who just faded in the memory of the community he was part of. So and then he made the unfortunate decision to put pretty much all the money in a Ponzi scheme and lost it all. But would I change anything? Probably not, because that shaped me into who I am. So that put the fire in me when I came across the job, kind of pursuing it, almost like following this thread. Where can I place myself to help people make better decisions, at least avoid the common mistakes, and share that perspective with them. So actually right now, when I do career coaching with secondary school kids, I tell them, look, you don't need a master's degree. I grew up in a culture where you needed all the certificates and all the diplomas and everything. Whereas this is something that can give you a platform to really make a tangible difference to people's lives, and use your skill set and play at your strengths. And that's what I love about this. Whomever you are, I wasn't even speaking that much English when I came to the UK, but like literally putting yourself out there, speaking from the heart, and helping people whichever way you can. I thought, that's a power behind that. And I think that's what I loved when I was talking to financial advisors, to listen to their stories. And I was like, wow, you get to do this, and then now when I go to conferences and I meet power planners, they're letting people out, by the way, they're no longer hidden behind the desk, administrators, power planners. And I go, wow, can you believe you are part of this amazing thing? And I used to go to offices and there was, I'm just a power planner. I'm like, no, you're not just a power planner. You're an amazing part of this amazing system that can really help people out.
Absolutely.
What a privilege.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that about power planners, because my God, they are worth their weight in gold, the good ones. Thomas, who we work with, God, I lean on him so much from his technical perspective.
Yeah. Yes. And like when, as a financial advisor, we need to know a lot. We need to know about compliance. We need to know about the admin side. We need to know about processes. We need to know about a lot of things, as well as being able to talk to a client. There's a lot of things we have to do. So it's good to have a good team around you that can take that weight, isn't it? So gosh, it's a team effort.
It is.
It's an absolute team effort.
And I think that's the good thing when you come through the ranks sometimes, in the way that you've been trained to know what the administrator does, what the power planner does, what IT do, compliance, market, all these different areas. I think it gives you a really good rounded perspective on all of those team members and what they contribute. I think that's super important. So exams. Everybody's done exams at the table. How's everyone got on with them? What have been your experiences around those?
Well, if I'm really honest, I'm quite academic, and so I found them not that difficult. It's okay to say that.
I wish I could say that. I wish I felt like that. No, I'm the opposite.
I mean, I caveat that with I work really hard. And I think if you work really hard at it and you go into an exam fairly sure you're going to pass, it makes it easier to pass because you don't have all the worry and the panic that you would otherwise have. So I'm not saying I could rock up and pass an exam, but it's just I'm in my element when I'm studying. It's something I really like to do.
That's good.
So for me, it's just making sure you sort of focus, and then anyone can achieve anything if they put their mind to it, can't they?
Yeah, definitely. And did you always want to go all the way chartered fellow?
Yes.
I'd imagine you did.
I did.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to stop. So I've done the resolution accreditation, which for people who are listening to this that don't know, that's a specialism in divorce. I've recently done the financial advisor step qualification, and I'm going on to TEP. I just think having not gone to university, having not done A-levels, for me it's quite nice to feel like there's an opportunity in this career to constantly learn, constantly prove to myself that I can do it, but also know that my knowledge is up to date. It's just a really enjoyable thing to do if you're a bit of a geek.
I completely agree with you, you see. I think I'm quite similar to you.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy learning, and this is what I love about this industry. You don't know everything. There's always more and more to learn. You can't go, I know everything. This job is not about that.
It's dangerous, people who think they do.
And I think if you get to that point, that's when you gotta go. But I'm the same. I was very much like I think it's because someone in the firm, I think like who you mentioned, Trevor, he was chartered, and I think he was the only chartered advisor at the company at the time, and everyone turned to him. Trevor, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I thought, I want to be that. Why can't it be me? So at chartered, it was always the route that I wanted to go. And I think I was about 28 years old when I got my chartered status. And I actually became a certified financial planner at the same time, which was, I was very young to become certified and chartered. But then, fellow naturally happened. And just like yourself, I went down the step route. And then beginning of this year, I became a full member, became TEP. But there's still more I want to do. There's definitely still more I want to do. They're not easy. They're not easy, but I'm very much like what you said, persevere. I'm very much of the, short-term pain, long-term gain. There's been times when I failed them, and it's so easy to kind of go, I really don't want to pick up this book. It's been a long day. We've worked hard. I just the kids are in bed. I just want to chill, but no, you got to pick up that book. But it is definitely worth it. And I think when you do have qualifications isn't everything, but it's a big help. It does increase your technical knowledge, and then different areas that you can then specialize in, and then it enhances your career then, doesn't it? You become, you might do a bit more defined benefit cases, or you might do a bit more trust and estate planning cases that you otherwise wouldn't have done. So you reach a further audience, I think, when it comes to clients, and also introducers like it as well. If you have relationships with accountants and solicitors, they like this. They want to make sure that they're referring their clients to someone that's more than capable. Because if you think about it, when they're referring you, if you do a bit of a rubbish job, you've made them look rubbish then, haven't you? So you want to give them, you want to do a great service for them. And then, more referrals will come from that. So, I'm a big advocate for qualifications, and I really encourage it with my peers, take the exam, short-term pain, long-term gain. And
Can I just add something there? You mentioned about how it's good for our technical knowledge, which it is. I also think as women, we do need to, unfortunately, prove ourselves a bit more. And just being able to say, look, objectively, I'm good at this. I'm not saying I'm good. This is my list of qualifications is quite helpful.
And you know what's quite funny, you saying that, I always remember years ago, I heard about the STEP qualifications, and I remember going to a colleague of mine, and I said, because I'd heard that he'd looked into it, or he'd done one, and he was very, very senior, and I said, is it worthwhile me doing them? And he's like, no, they're too hard. They're just too hard. And I was like, that could have gone one of two ways. I could have either gone, I completely agree with you, and not done them, or I'd have gone, well, let me prove you wrong. And that's exactly what I did. I proved him wrong, and I was like, well, it is doable,
But don't you think that's one of the reasons, I know I'm going off topic slightly, but one of the reasons perhaps there aren't enough women in financial services, because if that's the feedback you're getting, and I know that women I've worked with before have had similar feedback from people, and if you're not like yourself or like me, where you think, I don't care what you think, I'm going to do this because I'm backing myself. If you're not that way inclined and you're told you're not good enough, you're not going to take a chance. So I think that sort of feedback is really negative.
Well,
but well done you for overcoming it.
Obviously.
But
I don't think, I wouldn't have been a financial planner had I have listened to a lot of what people have said. I wouldn't be a financial planner. And that's starting from school even. You know, it starts from school, doesn't it? You know, I remember when I picked my A-levels, I picked maths. And I always remember my maths GCSE teacher saying to me, you might find it difficult, you know, you might not complete it. I was like, oh. And I was like, I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that what has got me to where I am now. Definitely.
So what needs to change then to, turn that around? Because it almost seems like it's a cultural thing, maybe.
You mean in terms of so that you don't have to be
that type of
that
personality.
type of person to be a success?
Yeah.
I think we need to be careful about our biases. I think employers need to be careful. And I think individuals need to be careful too, because it's very easy to make assumptions based on people's behaviours in a room as to how they will be sat in front of a client. So, for example, I'm quite a bubbly, hyperactive person, but I wouldn't be like that in a room with a client because I know how to, do a professional job. And I think you meet some ladies who are quite quiet and people make assumptions. I think that, well, maybe they're not going to have confidence to deal with a difficult client, but they just have a different approach. So I just think we need to question ourselves more before making assumptions about what the ideal financial advisor looks like.
Yeah, and which is why I really encourage people that I meet, the secondary school students, to go and seek apprenticeships. Live and breathe that air. Talk to people who are doing it. Talk to women and men to see what's really possible to achieve. Because my shock after, like I said, I thought, right, I qualify. I've never failed an exam in my life. And I said, all these people talk about 18 months. I don't have 18 months to get qualified because I was in my 40s at the time. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to continue to do some business coaching on the side to pay my bills. But I'm going to plow through these exams. And I passed all these exams like 8 months down the road. And then to my surprise, when I became a trainee financial advisor in a financial advice firm, I thought, where do I apply all these exams? I thought I was going to just right away start adding value. And I quickly realized that, exams aren't everything. I mean, they do give you that foundation, but you need to put in the hours. You need a mentor to hold your hand and be with you in the client meetings, and you witness all these questions and you understand the process and everything. So it's doable, but again, you need to put in the hours. Similar to financial coaching too. Like, we do certifications to learn coaching models and everything, but nothing really gives you that ability to add value than the hours grinding, learning, reflecting and applying that, taking that learning forward.
Yeah, I think, well, with me, it's the opposite. I mean, I love learning. I always have done. But it's the revising for me. I need to be revising with someone. Trying to learn on my own, I find a bit more difficult. So, as Tracy knows, I've sat lots of exams, some 2-3 times to get through, but I've got a lot of grit, and I think that's something that will stand you in good stead in this industry. You're talking about it a little bit there, people are telling you can't do this, and actually, yes, I can, and that's my mental attitude, is I'll keep going until I get it. So I don't think you necessarily have to be brilliant at exams in this industry. I think you need to get through them, and you will eventually. But I think that's the main thing, as long as you've got the grit to carry on. And that's the
absolutely
most important thing.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because by the time you finish the exams, the rules have changed. Think about pension. Just like when you thought you got it, then the things change, and you're like, I thought I got it. I thought I was ready to go out.
Yeah. And that's always been a good thing, I think, with having somebody like, for me, Tracy, to work with at the same level. When things do change, we often have phone calls, don't we, or Teams meetings, right? Am I understanding this rule right? Is this right? And we'll have a good chat about it, won't we? And I think having people in the industry that you can lean on is always a really good thing for that, just to make sure you're interpreting things. Or if you've got a complex case that you're working on, then you've got someone that you can sort of just double check that you're getting it right and you're thinking the right way. Is there, so I suppose to finish today, what are the main sort of positive aspects that you think that the job brings in terms of having this job as a coach or as a financial planner? What the biggest sort of positives do you think?
for me, I think having the opportunity to always learn, I know I've said it, but it's something that I just really enjoy. It's given me access to meet loads of interesting people, both clients and other professionals. It's very flexible in terms of how I run my day, which whilst I don't have children now, I know that would be useful if I do. And it's also useful generally. And also, I think you can grow your career in so many different directions. So I've already grown in different directions in my career. I'm 37 now, so I've got years and years ahead of me. And I love the fact that I can't see the end goal yet. And that just makes it really exciting.
Yeah, brilliant. And Tracy, what are your main pluses of this role?
I think very much what Hazel's just said, really. You know, flexibility for me is key. You know, I'm a mother of 3 young children and I need flexibility. And I find it, I'm really fortunate to be in a job that offers me that. You know, spending time with my children, it's precious, isn't it? You know, I can't put a price on that. But then also, you know, we get, it gives me, like you said, I've met amazing people that no way would I have met, you know, otherwise. You know, I live in I'm from North Wales, in a small town from North Wales, you know, I see the same people all the time. So this has opened so much doors by being in this industry. And then also, you know, financially, you know, it's a job, you know, you get rewarded very well. And I think you can control that, how much you get rewarded as well. It's that kind of industry that you can control it depending on how hard you work. You know, you do control it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Alina?
For me, I think, firstly, I agree. I do believe it gives you a massive platform to be the best you can be. And for me, the most important bit is the impact. You know, I feel it's as I was saying earlier, it's such a privilege to be able to be in front of people, to guide people. I love their light bulb moments, the sigh of relief, and it's like, okay, so all will be well, right? And then approach financial planning with a sense of opportunity rather than fear. That's my favorite part, when I see people go and have a more robust and positive mindset and just go do things that really suits them. That's the thing. And then flexibility. I have a couple of kids at home. When I was working in asset management, all hours, traveling like crazy, I missed so many key moments. And I promised myself, especially with my second, I thought, I'm not going to do this. And I reached a plateau in my growth. And I thought, well, I can't really see the trade-offs anymore, commuting into London 5 days a week. So right now, I really enjoy the flexibility. And also, you know, with the virtual meetings, you can be wherever you need to be in a flick of a switch. You know, you don't need to travel as much. You don't need to pray that someone is going to be okay if you visit a brand new client at 8 o'clock in the evening. You know, like the fear of, okay, I hope everything will be fine. And how am I going to travel in the dark? So all these things, I think all these barriers to women doing this job have kind of dissipated. I think there's more of a safer and more of an empowering environment to be in. And yet the financials, you know, you can build a career around your lifestyle easily, if allowed. And I'm really hoping that more and more in the future we'll see that happen for a lot of women, because I think it's so worth it.
Yeah, mine's quite similar to yours, Alina. I think it's that when you've gone in to see clients who are really worried or embarrassed because they haven't taken control of their finances, and you put these plans in place, and you know, you build this relationship with them, and you see them hit their goals. You know, some my longest standing clients, they have the best retirement. You know, they always wanted to go on the big cruises and that sort of thing. And most of our meetings now are taken up, we're just talking about what cruises they've been on and what they've been getting up to and this sort of thing. So I love that bit about it. And I've always been a goal setter myself. So goal setting with clients and actually seeing the outcome, that's a really good thing for me. Also from a personal life perspective, everyone's mentioned it, you know, flexibility, taking control of your diary, being able to make sure you're at the sports day, or, you know, go to the gym and make sure that you're looking after your mental health, and you're keeping fit and that sort of thing. I think that's brilliant. And I think finally, this sort of job, especially when I think back to how I was at 22, I was certainly not a wallflower, but I certainly wasn't half as confident as I am now. So building those confidence skills and listening skills and all the stuff that comes with it, I'd never in a million years would think that I'd be sat here around a table doing a podcast, for example.
Yeah.
It's not something I'd ever imagine I would do. And so it just opens doors for you, I think, and really lets you be who you want to be and brings out your true self. I think I love that about the job.
Yeah, and it's not just the professional community, is it? It's the wealth of perspective and experiences from the client. I learn so much from my clients. They give me such a rich perspective on life, and it's so nice to connect with their values and get inspired. The best calls I've had were those where I leave the virtual room with a skip in my step, not only with the reward that we're good, but like, wow, there's so much out there. This is life worth living. It's so important. It keeps you going, right? It keeps you in your darkest moments when you kind of cry in a dark corner. It's like, why? To kind of go, this is why. This is why.
That is the why. Brilliant. So thank you very much for joining us for our podcast today. If you would like to know when our next one is going to be, please follow the Personal Finance Society on LinkedIn or YouTube. See you next time.